All right, guys, welcome to nothing. no, Nothing is much creepier than I would imagine you all imagined it would be. We're gonna get right into conversations. I'll put the phone number up there. Let's see. As a matter of fact, our first topic for today is the riots that have been taking place over the last few weeks in France. Um, Today, Jeff, let me put the number up here in the corner. Want to get your guys' opinions? Let me drone on with my thoughts on the issue first, then give you guys a jumping off point. Whether you want to jump in with me or jump on my throat, I think the biggest takeaway I have, I think, from the French riots is I think it's a media spin, but and again by the sources in media who would benefit spinning this direction, to say that the riots are strictly due to the proposed increase in tax on petrol, on gas. I think that everything has been festering for some time outside of that, and I'd like to get you guys' take because a lot of you guys are in Europe. As a matter of fact, Sheeps is currently in France. Pray for Sheeps management. That's good to know. That this is what I like about the international element, and this is why you guys know we're going to have two of these episodes of Nothing a week starting today. These will be at 1:30 p.m. my time. The other ones are at 11:30 p.m. my time. These here will favor the time, obviously the time frame for you guys in Europe, the Nordic countries, that part of the world much more so, which is why this is one of the France riots are one of the topics today, because I think we'll get a lot more of you that are close to ground zero for all of that. It seems to me, though, that these riots are entrenched in the fact that Macron seems to be, or at least, and again, I like to be careful to speak with, let it be understood what I know as to what I've just heard, been told, read. And what I understand is that the French people just see him as completely disconnected and serving only the wealthy or the elite of France. I do now, as far as the factual stuff, I do know the cost of living in France and Paris specifically is outrageous. I know people are, I complain about how much we're taxed here because I'm in one of the highest tax states in the United States, which is New York. But I guess what we pay in taxes is nothing compared to what a lot of Europe pays, and specifically what France pays. So what I want to know is, does that sound accurate to you guys? Is this yellow vest movement much larger than just a proposed tax on gasoline? Because it certainly seems to me, I mean, you're burning down your city. It seems that, as much as I can understand people being off-put about the idea of paying more for gasoline that's already wildly expensive over there, that seems like an overreaction as a single issue. I think there's much, much more to it. And that's the thing, Travis. He's actually he's the opposite side politically of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a conservative nationalist, whereas Macron is a globalist. Yet wasn't he? I believe he was an investment banker or something. Is that correct? You know what? I got to put on my headsets too so I can hear when we actually have calls here. If I'm not mistaken, he was an investment banker, and people have the feeling that a lot of what he does directly benefits those who he used to do business with. The French in the countryside are having their lives destroyed by Macron. Very interesting, Croman. That's what I wanted to hear. And so that kind of backs up what the feeling I'm getting is that this is much larger than just a gas tax. Chrome says Macron is finger wagging at the protesters just now and pretending to be better than him. Before the riots, he had a 20% approval rating. I did not know that. Holy shit. I'm French, and some of my friends are just doing the yellow vest movement to rob some stores. Itzigo says that's an unfortunate. It's interesting you bring that up. Anytime there's looting, no matter the country, the location, or the reason, you always fear. Well, I think it's inevitable that some of the people are there just to go shopping, and that's really unfortunate. All right, hold on. I'm gonna give you guys the number for anybody that wants to call in. We'll keep the number there as well. And the lineup for today, too, I put it in the description, but I wanted you guys to see it. The lineup today, we're going to be talking, obviously, riots in France. Then we're going to be talking about anyone who needs a safe space and counseling because the speaker is coming in. Do they have any chance of someday becoming a useful human? The college football playoffs. And then are you a bigger moron for supporting PETA'S racism and homophobia parallel? Or if you're whining about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And then finally, climate change. Now, hold on, let me get back here. Hopefully everything is working well with Skype. Let me make sure. Okay, Skype is active. Okay, so anybody that calls should be able to get through. Hopefully we've got everything working well with Skype. FBI open up gunfire sounds. Are those French riots anywhere as bad or worse than the 1992 LA riots? Igor says, I don't know. That's interesting, Igor. They're definitely, I would say, as bad. Hold on, let me grab this caller. Hello, who am I talking to?
This is Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
How are you doing? I'm so Curtis.
Good to hear from you, Jamie.
Oh my God, this is so awesome. I'm excited. I finally get to talk to the awesome, the legend. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm not going to interrupt this.
Enjoying the Mickey ears.
Yeah, I know. I should get a set of headphones that are actually Mickey ears. Let me continue real quick on Igor's thought. Yeah, if I could get back to my train of thought on it. Is these French riots anywhere near as bad or worse than the 92 LA riots? From what I've seen, they're at least as bad. I don't think there's as much individual damage. I don't think there's been as many deaths, as many injuries. But I would say that the damage to property is probably maybe even more so what's going on in Paris than what took place here in LA. So what's your thoughts on the issue, Jamie?
I'm actually just hearing about this because of you. I've actually didn't know anything about this until break time. I'm actually at work right now, so
cool.
It's news to me. I'm like,
and when you get, I'll tell you, when you get looking it up, Jamie, and you see some of the, you see basically Paris on fire, and what really is disappointing is some of the destruction that was done. I mean, I've always said one of the coolest things about Europe as opposed to being an American is you guys' history is obviously so much longer than ours, and there are so many wonderful artifacts and things from so many centuries ago to see. That's why I want to go. And when those things start becoming casualties of riots, it gets really, really sad.
It is really sad, and it's almost kind of sad to say, but it kind of goes back to that whole saying of how Europe has always brought destruction upon itself. It's like they never learn. Like nobody seems to ever learn from history. It's the same repetitive things happening now as back then. I mean, yeah, maybe under different
circumstances,
pretext or whatever, but it's still, if you peel away the mask and the layers, it's all the same thing.
You're right.
Happening again.
And what's really scary, Jamie, too, is that's a good point, because throughout history, it's been different groups with entirely different political motivations, but they've ended up in the same place. And then the other side of that is, and I agree with you, but then the other side of it is, and I try and put myself in that situation, and like Chrome mentioned earlier, if you're living in the countryside in France and you basically can't feed your family because you're taxed, taxes are just so overwhelming and just crushing your way of life, there almost comes a point where, well, here's a good example, Jamie. See what you think. I said one of the reasons that what's going on in France should be very interesting to Americans is because think about if we know there's a strong socialist movement within the extreme left here in America. Let's just say, for instance, they take some sort of power. Now, unless somebody's just absolutely dreaming, to put in all the socialist plans that, say, in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants, you're going to have to raise taxes. There's no two ways about it. It's not a question. And it would have to be substantial. The countries that do offer all those services have tax rates, personal income tax rates, sometimes that are up to 50%.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you come in with all these programs, as good as they may sound to the socialist movement, if you come in with single payer health care and you want to pay for everybody's college and you want to pay off everybody's existing current student debt, when you get the price tag for that and you go, wow, we're going to have to increase your income tax by 15%, I think the exact same thing happens that's going on here in America that goes on in France right now, except much more extreme. Agree?
Yeah, I totally. I was even going to say, by the circumstance you're mentioning, it's pretty much what, French Revolution Part 3?
Yeah.
I mean, is it kind of like reaching that point now where we're going to have another Les Miserables? Is this going to be like the sequel or something?
It's funny you say that. That made me think, and you're right. And it made me think back to the old song. King Louis the 16th was the king of France in 1789. You guys ever heard that song? He was worse than Louis the 13th. And it goes on and on and on. And it continues with, he was the worst since Louis the First. And that there's a whole little ditty about that, why that stuck in my memory when things that are important, like, the process for inhale, exhale, and when to go to the bathroom didn't. I couldn't tell you. But that I remember, and you're right. And I hadn't thought about that. It is history repeating itself. Someone did bring out the guillotine. Yeah, Chrome.
Same thing here in the United States. You think we would have learned, from our predecessors in Europe, when after breaking free from them, what do we end up doing? We end up doing the same stuff they did, and probably bringing it up a notch, and then disguising it as keeping.
You got that's a good point, and Chrome takes it even a step further here. I like this. Chrome says history repeats itself. There's a 30 to 50 year cycle because people don't live long enough to see the big picture. The next generation is similar to the one before. They want the same stuff, both good and bad. So that's an excellent point in that things of this nature, just like you pointed out, Jamie, things of this nature almost seem cyclical. It doesn't matter how horrific it was the first time around, and no matter how many times you tell somebody that those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it, like Chrome says, they have the same wants, same desires, same goals, and then they end up taking the same path to try and achieve them.
It's kind of like some of my friends. I have friends on both sides of the spectrum, so you can imagine how fun that must be.
Oh, sure it is.
Neutral.
It's fun at parties, just keeping them apart and stuff, yeah.
I am exceedingly neutral in a lot of my stances. And, of course, I had one friend call me out, and he's like, oh, that's just centrist bullshit. And I'm like, really? Trying to step back and see the bigger picture is centrist bullshit? Well, at least I'm not blindly following anybody without just cause. Like, I'm not going to stand idly by and just support something that is just as wrong as something else just because they dress it up and looking like something different. And in the end, it's all the same.
It's an excellent point. Excellent point, because you hear that all the time. Political ideology has become so extreme in America that just what Jamie's describing, if you are genuinely a centrist, if you're someone who's sitting in the middle going, no, I want to hear what you have to say, I want to hear what you have to say, and I want to base my opinions, my thoughts on facts from both sides, you're vilified by both sides.
Definitely. Like a lot of my leftist friends, for example, they'll automatically say, oh, so you agree with racism and homophobia. No, I never said that. Where the hell did you get that from? I never said those things. But at the same time, why aren't you stopping and listening to what the other side is saying?
Right,
even if they are wrong on certain things, shut up and listen, because the only way you're going to get them to listen is if you try and negotiate.
Right.
And then the same thing for the other side. If they don't shut up and listen to the other side, they're just going to keep creating more and more havoc, and
it's a shout each other down society. That's what it is. It's all about being louder than the other side. You're 100% right. And the word racist and racism, we're almost relegating it into irrelevance because it's bandied about so much and so many times when it's not relevant. For instance, if you if you happen to be for stronger border security. You don't even necessarily have to be about the wall or anything like that. If you're just one of these people that says, okay, listen, we need to get a handle on illegal immigration. There should be nobody coming into the country illegally. You'll have a big sector of society that says, well, you're a racist. Well, when you use the term racist for that stance, you're just weakening the term racist, because that's not what it means at all. But anything nowadays with certain people, with certain groups within society, within the political spectrum in America, if you have an opinion differing from their own, well, you're a racist. That seems to be the go-to. Yeah.
And fun fact, you know, Canada, how it's always deemed as being the welcoming country, the safe zone or whatever for immigrants. Mm-hmm. Did you know they have a 10-year process to become a citizen? Harsher than ours? They're stricter than us.
Most nations... Most nations are actually stricter than us.
So how are we getting called out as being the bad guys?
Because
I never understood that.
Because every time we go to protect the border, there's no way to do that in a necessarily swaddling manner where you pick all these, in this case, maybe 1,000 people who are trying to rush the border. You can't coddle each one of them. So as soon as you take an action, as soon as they drop a canister of tear gas, well, now we tried to kill them all and the children are dying. Listen, don't rush the border. You shouldn't have been coming. Anytime you have a movement like we saw with this caravan, the problem is everybody in that caravan is not there for noble reasons, and certainly everybody in there doesn't have a legitimate claim for asylum. So there's got to be a method for weeding them out. Jamie, I hate to cut you off. I got a bunch of people backing up here. I want to let a couple other people get in on this. Thank you for the call. This was really good.
Likewise. I'm so glad to speak with you. It's exciting.
It's fun. This is a lot. This is a lot of the fun of this. Is I get to know you guys through text and through comments, and now I get to at least take another step and at least hear your voices. I'll talk to you again soon.
Talk to you soon. Happy holidays if I don't speak with you.
Same to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, George, I paused this because, okay, hold on, let me take this call. Hello, caller. Hold on just a second. I just want to make a quick comment here. George Wills has written something here that I'd like to read. People twist our words all the time. Over here in the UK, what we call right-wing political views are wrongly labeled racist and fascist, which is horseshit. They want us to fear those views. Same exact thing goes on here, George. I'm glad you brought that up, because it goes back to exactly what we were talking about just a few minutes ago, is that the word racist is just thrown around for everything. Because apparently some people believe that if you call someone a racist, then you win. I'm not sure why, because it's things that have nothing to do with race, like securing a border, but racist is a convenient term. Hey, caller, who am I talking to?
Your boy Wolverine.
Hey, Wolverine, good to hear from you, pal.
What's up, man?
Just living the dream. Living the dream. What's your take on this, on the whole French Riots things?
It's depressing, man. Because Rowan, right? She was wanting to go to France for a study.
Who was?
Rowan.
Rowan? Oh, Rowan, yes. That's right. I forgot about that. That was France that she wanted to go to. That's right. For those who don't know, one of our regulars here in the live streams at the channel is Rowan. And Rowan is from, why is the name of the country gone right out of my head?
Yeah.
What is it?
Syria.
Syria, thank you. Is in Syria now. And talk about someone who's just caught in the abyss, because she has friends and family here in the States. She's trying to do things the right way, obviously, to emigrate to where she'd like to live. And she's hitting stonewall after stonewall here. She had a potential opportunity to go to France. They shot that down on her as well. And this is somebody who's, I can vouch for, is very intelligent, wants to contribute, wherever she may be. She wants to be a part of that culture, not take over that culture. She just wants something more for her own life, for herself, and wants to do it the right way. And that's why allowing people who force their way into your country and just telling them, you know what? You were able to force your way in, so we'll let you stay. That's why that's wrong, because it's not fair to the people who are trying to do it the right way.
So the whole thing with the French, it's terrible. I mean, I, for one, love French cuisine, and hopefully any viewers who are here in France, I do hope that at least you guys are safe, at the very least.
Well, right. We want to make sure that the croissants are still fresh, is what you're trying to say.
That's more secondary for me.
I know I shouldn't laugh about what's going on, but the simple fact of the matter is I understand it. I mean, you can't sit here and say I promote it, or say, hey, French people, get back out in those streets. You're never going to get anywhere unless you do it. No, it's not the case at all. But you understand what they're up against when you start getting people backed into a corner where they can't feed their children, and they're worried about keeping roofs over their head because the government is taxing them at a rate that they can't survive. How can the government be surprised that there are people burning shit up in the streets? That's the way I see it.
It's shameful, yeah.
It's unfortunate because I've told you guys, unfortunately I've never been out of North America, but I want to visit Europe, and just from what I know of friends I have that have visited France, and some of them have visited regularly, it seems like such a fantastic, or Paris itself seems like such a wonderful city, such a great place to go and learn. Again, I love the history of Europe. It's so much deeper than our own, and to have this type of thing going on over there, it's sad. And now, speaking of Europe, now Theresa May, isn't she facing a vote of no confidence like now?
I honestly don't know.
I think so. Hey, Rowan's here. I just wanted to point out Rowan Swan is the young woman we were just discussing. We were talking about.
Oh, and Curtis.
Yes.
So I'm at work, so I'm gonna have to go. But before I do hang up,
yes,
I just want to say hi to Mods and Poppy.
Okay.
And Rowan, she's here.
And Rowan is here. And so a quick shout out to the mods. Our mods are fantastic here, and to my favorite Ginger Poppy as well. But thanks for calling in, pal.
Have a good day, man.
You too. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, it's obviously it's a shame anything like look at the croissants from Tony. It's a shame anytime something like this takes place, but unfortunately I do understand it. I do have a separate page tracking the super chat, so I will make sure I reference that every so often. Hello, who am I talking to? Hello, hello? Hello? It's the...
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Yes, who's this? Who this? Who that? No? Okay, no.
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello? Are you messing with me?
Wait.
Who is this? It's the legend himself. It's Curtis Candy.
Oh my God.
Yes. Oh, well, I wasn't going to come right out and say God, okay? But I'm glad that you did.
Oh my God, I'm speaking to Daddy Curtis.
Big Daddy Curtis. Now, guys, I want to note to everyone here in the chat, I didn't use the word God. I just agreed with it. No. Oh, if I was God, you guys' life would be so much cooler.
Hey.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know. you're just happy to be here is what you're trying to say. I understand that.
Yep.
Yes? All right. Well, I'm glad you're happy, but I gotta let some people get in. We got a bunch of topics to cover, okay? All right. Well, thanks for calling.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, guys, we're going to try and do all our topics today. I think we covered the French riots. We're moving on to number 2 here. Okay. This is... hold on, let me get this. Hello.
Hey, Curtis.
Hey, who's this?
It's Rich.
Rich.
Yeah, I'm always. I was one of the guys that always would always love to poke fun at the soccer hate.
Oh, all right. All right. Now wait. Just let me tell the gang. We're switching over now. We're gonna go. This is anyone who needs a safe space and counseling because a speaker is coming in. Do they have any chance of someday becoming a useful human? So those of you in the comment section, as I'm chatting with Rich here, do these people have any chance of someday actually becoming a useful human being? I want to see what you guys think. I'm saying their odds are long. It's all seriousness. If you are so brittle, if your psyche is so gentle, no, Elric, yeah, no, we're getting a lot of no's, that the thought of someone bringing in a different point of view than your own to your college campus or to your speaking event, wherever it may be, that you feel like you need to pet a kitty and you need counseling and a safe space, I generally don't think you are a functional human being. Will they become human? Jeff says, well, Anthony, I really don't like PC or SJW propaganda. Yeah, and in fairness, I don't like propaganda from either side, but there does seem to be more prevalence of it, yes, from the politically correct crowd and the social justice warrior crowd. What about you, Rich? Do they have a chance?
Well, personally, I'm more of a conservative libertarian. So I'm just like, people can believe whatever they want, but I'm just like, you can't infringe on. It's a bad idea to infringe on people's what people can say. Otherwise, what makes you so different from the people that in the 40s and when they people the Soviets, the fascists, all the other people. It's like, if you want to tell me what I can't say, it's like,
I'm completely with you. And that's, I agree with you 100%. I agree. I think everybody's perspective deserves to be heard. Now, does that mean that somebody's perspective, just because it's their perspective, it's above ridicule? No. I mean, to me, if you're going to come out and say that the earth is flat, you might want to expect a little bit of ridicule. I think you have every right to have that opinion. I think you have every right to express that opinion, but we have every right to, when you can take something that you can prove conclusively is a fact, and someone else says, well, no, that's just not true, something else is the fact, then you can expect some ridicule. But yes, you should absolutely be able to say it. However, let's take that a step further and say if someone says the earth is flat and they want to have their flat earther meeting, say, at your college or close to your home, if that dictates that you need to go hide in a safe space and you need some counseling, then you are functioning at a lower level than are the flat earth people, as far as I'm concerned. Anthony has a good comment here. Diversity is great. Forced diversity is bad. That's a topic for another day.
Agreed. And the thing is about the whole, like, take for example the UK. They've been slowly starting to limit what people can say, and good thing America doesn't have this, where they don't label hate speech, because in all basic actuality, there really is, the whole line between hate speech and actual speech is really very fine line, because you can say one race is superior to the other, and that's kind of, and that's giving you an opinion. But as long as you are welcome, I wouldn't say you're welcome to, but people are entitled to have their own sort of opinion.
Right.
People believe what they want, but as long as it doesn't call towards violence, because as soon as it calls towards violence,
I agree with you completely, and I've seen that same thing. Rich makes a really good point, and we've seen that in Europe and specifically in England, where they're widening they're widening the parameters on what exactly is hate speech. That's a slippery slope. That's the kind of thing that if that were to be instituted here in America, I'd be one of those people out in the streets without a doubt, because you cannot allow people to just determine any group to determine what is or isn't hate speech, because once you start saying hate speech is illegal, now you have to define it, and who gets to do that? That's not going to work out well, no matter who's in charge.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to say who gets to decide, because there are some people that decide, the government needs to decide, but then the government is human, and human beings do not always have the best track record of being able to decide people for what is in the best interest of the people. I mean, take for example the let's say 1941 Germany. There was, I wouldn't say it was a government, but it was the idea that it was all the best interest. Once you decide one race is inferior to another, then it's a lot of people stood behind what Germany was doing back then, and it also made it easy for the whole.
And I think the thing too is as far as I'm concerned, the definition of hate speech is currently and should always be limited to very specifically speech that incites violence against others, or any type of speech where you are directly calling for someone else to be hurt or someone else to have their rights stripped away or whatever the case may be, have their human rights taken. That doesn't extend over to say, okay, what's a hot button topic right here in America? We've got people that want hate speech to include anyone, and again, when I know I make generalities, but it's all stuff you can go see on social media. It's not something that's hard to find. But we have people that want hate speech to include anyone who doesn't believe, or anyone who uses scientific evidence to prove that there are only two genders. Now, there's a fairly substantial number of people in a movement trying to say that, well, if you won't use the proper pronouns for me, that's hate speech, and we want you to have criminal charges filed against you. So,
like there was in Georgia, there was I believe it was Georgia. I remember hearing this from a conservative podcast. Well, I don't remember how accurate it is, but I remember there was a teacher in Georgia that was actually fired because it was I think it was a Spanish speaking teacher. She was fired because she did not use the proper pronouns, and I'm thinking to myself, that is just a very slippery slope to the end. Even when, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, Chris,
go ahead.
But even with there was some on college campuses, they are predominantly, I would say predominantly, but not always, liberal ideologies. So when conservative speakers like, let's say, Ben Shapiro or Milo Yiannopoulos or Miss Summers comes down, they are usually met by opposition, and people call them fascist. But it's why.
But the funny thing about that is you make a good point. By calling them fascists for expressing their own ideas is fascism. And that's the part that gets lost on these people. And especially somebody like, now Ben Shapiro is somebody I enjoy. I've watched a number of Ben's videos. I enjoy his take on a lot of things. I don't agree with him politically down the line. I don't think I agree with anybody politically down the line. For instance, I'm pro-choice, so right there, that's one of his big hot topics that I'm on the opposite side of the fence. All that said, I can't believe that people are actually fearful of him speaking. And why? Because he believes that scientifically, biologically, if you have a penis, you're a male. If you have a vagina, you're a female. That's it. He's entitled to believe that. He's got some solid science on his side. Now, for me personally, do I have a problem with transgender people? No, I don't care. I don't understand it. But if you're a woman who feels like, no, you were somehow miscast in life and you should be a man, how's that hurt me? And vice versa. If you're willing to go out and live that life, it's not something of convenience, it's something genuine to you, and you want to live the life, excuse me, I got to tickle my nose, of the opposite gender, for me, I don't care. It doesn't make any difference. Now, if you take that a step further and say, well, I can't comfortably designate myself as either male or female, I'm fluid, then you've just lost me into a sea of, as far as I'm concerned, idiocy. That's no different than me saying, you know what, I got this really light skin, but I feel like I'm an African American. I feel like I'm a black man. And that's how I want the rest of the world to relate to me. And I want the rest of the world to accept me that way. Well, no, of course you won't, because I'm not. It's just one of those things. I may want to be, but I'm not. It isn't the case. It's the same. Maybe I've decided that I really feel like I'm 6'7". I know that if you put a measuring stick on me, it's going to say 5'11". But I'm 6'7", and I want that on all my official paperwork because I feel like I'm tall. What's the difference between that and saying that I'm one of the other 1,000 genders that apparently exist outside of male and female?
And the big issue.
I'm a moist vagina.
After the issue, I'm obviously going to let the other people speak because it's obviously I don't want to hog all. I'd love to talk all day. I would, but I don't want to hog all the. But one of the real issues I have is when someone brings up the issue of the higher suicide rate among LGBTQ individuals, and the problem is usually that's because they don't usually want to conform to society, and they feel some sort of social anxiety on being forced to met that quota.
I identify as a Compton Harambe. Wolverine says, I agree. I completely agree with you. And you know what takes a step further? What really gets me too when you talk about the accelerated rate of suicide within the LGBTQ community, and more so in the trans community, it's even a high. Isn't it between? And again, I'm working off my poor memory, but I believe it's around the 35% mark. But what bothers me is when they say it's because we're not accepted in society. Society makes us kill ourselves. It's like, you got to take a quick time out there, because in the history of America, no group of people has been denied more, been demeaned more than black people. It's our history. Whether people whether people like it or not, it's true. They have been demeaned throughout our history. They have been not, I would say, second-rate citizens, but there was a time they weren't citizens. They were property. As far as my understanding, there's never been a rate of suicide along those lines at all. So there's something more going on for the transgender community if that many of them are killing themselves, particularly nowadays where acceptance may be slower than they want, but it's happening. So to be killing yourselves at that rate, yeah, I don't. There's something else going on mentally and emotionally that needs to be addressed on behalf of those people.
Which is why there's also the the social
serial killer.
The left has created a social hierarchy called the intersectionality, with I think it's black people, women, LGBTQ, and on the very bottom is white people. Then right on top of that is the Jewish, because they believe they're the most powerful. But it's I don't understand how that really helps anyone if we were supposed to. If we separate ourselves.
It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. And I just want to take a moment here. I want to read. I'm trying to watch the comments at the same time. Chrome says, my answer is yes, they can be useful. Target practice and human experimentation subjects are very valid and useful professions. Curtis, I'm not going to officially get behind that stance.
I don't condone it, but I also don't.
Right.
Condone it.
But as I said, I'm certainly not going to object to Chrome expressing that viewpoint. And now, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, and I apologize in advance. Suhas? That's what it seems. Suhas says in 2100, we will be susceptible to jail time unless we don't recognize if people identify themselves with microwave ovens or tube lights in time while greeting them. And now people arguing about, or arguing for the idea of all these different genders would say, well, that's ridiculous, but it's not. As far as I'm concerned, it's no more ridiculous to want to be recognized as a microwave oven than it is as some sort of wild amalgam of non-sexual blobbishness. I don't understand it. All right, I better let you go, pal. I want to get a couple more people in.
Also, last thing,
yes.
Fuck Kabuto and fuck the train.
Agreed on both points. I think we can all agree on those. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, take care, man.
You too. Although I gotta admit, now I'll go off topic for just a second. Kabuto wasn't my most hated by the end. It was Black Zetsu, and that's not racist. He just happens to be black. That's his name. Hello.
Hello.
Who am I talking to?
Who is this?
This is Curtis. I can hear myself in the background.
This is Samba. How you doing?
Who is it? I'm sorry.
The Holy Dream.
The Holy Dream?
Yes, sir.
I like that.
I'm literally watching your live stream right now.
Nice.
Like, it's probably a few minutes back.
Yeah. It's not breaking the time-space continuum. It's just a delay that YouTube provides us.
Okay.
So what do you think? Are these people ever going to be? Are they going to be functioning members of society? Will they have a use someday, or will they always be on the periphery, hiding under their bed somewhere?
Honestly,
I did too, Rich.
In my opinion,
yes.
I think after a long time, I think they're going to go extinct, in my opinion. I think this is just a fad. I don't think this is something that, like, the other guys said, like in 2100, that's going to be like a big thing. I think it's just a fad.
You know what? The reason I was silent for a second, I hadn't considered. You could be right. You think so? Do you think so? You think? Well, and let's take that a step further. Even what about now with those who? Because that's interesting to me. I like that line of thinking. So what about those who need a safe space when somebody shows up to speak? Are you thinking the same way there? Do you think that might be something that right now? It's like a cool thing to do among a certain sector of society, and eventually common sense will prevail and people will start to understand once again, as we had in the past, that people having a differing opinion, an opinion different from your own, isn't scary.
Okay. I'm just going to say this. I'm going to be completely honest. Like,
sure.
I'm a black guy. I think you could tell by my voice. I'm 20 years old.
Okay.
But let's be honest. America is a white man's country. And in general, like, we have this certain type of thinking that's more, we think with facts more than emotions. So right now, white men are just kind of like, yeah, I'm just being completely honest.
I want you to.
Like, they want people to, you know what I mean, to be happy, to not feel like minorities, to not feel suppressed or oppressed. So, like, a lot of this is happening because they're allowing it, and at the same time, we're doing it. But there's a certain point where you just have to draw the line, in my opinion, too. That's just, first of all, as men, that just happens no matter what. There's always a point where you just say, forget it, I don't care. And that men are really dangerous when they do that. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. And I will,
I'm not saying,
as an old white man...
killing people.
No, I understand what you're saying. But as an older white man who leans towards the right, I can say, honestly, you're 100% right. To say that this isn't a white-based society would be just not looking at our society. It is. It absolutely is.
Exactly. It would be just lying to yourself.
Absolutely. And the only thing I can say that's good for us now is I believe that at no time in our past have there been more opportunities for those outside of the white male society to achieve greater levels and achieve great levels within the society itself. I think what we run into a problem is when we go away from people, like you're saying, all I want is my opportunity. And everybody should have that. Everybody should have that down the line. But then, as is always the case in America, no matter which side it's on, you'll have the extremists who now say, well, if you're not a member of this society that has been marginalized for so long, well, then what you say, what you feel, what you think doesn't matter, and you're a racist. That's the only issue I have. But is America a white-based society? Yes. Is it changing? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But you're 100% right. I mean, I don't believe in white privilege per se. As far as I don't think that I had any upper hand in getting anywhere in life than did someone of color. But if you're going to say, do I think that I get looked at in certain situations differently because of my white skin? Yeah. And you know what really gets me? Because when you look like me, I mean, I'm an older white male. You would be shocked how many people that look similar to me think that I'm one of the boys. So in other words, in everyday life, walking around in this very rural community that I live in, you would, at least I'm surprised by how many people feel comfortable using things like the N-word around me just because I'm another white guy. And it's like, you know what?
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's very interesting, and it's kind of disconcerting because I don't like that word. And for one reason only, you guys know I'm a big language guy. I don't believe in the idea of curse words. I think it's stupid. I think the idea that vagina is fine to say and pussy isn't is moronic. I think the idea that saying fuck makes everybody go, it's a word. However, the N-word has one use and one use only, and that's to demean someone. That's why I don't use it. There is no other use for that word than to try and put someone else down.
Then, I have a question for you then.
Sure.
Okay, so then what's your opinion, to like be as honest as you can on,
Sure.
I guess, live TV?
Sure.
Like, what's your thoughts on the way black people kind of use it as a form of endearment?
Oh, them now. See, and I'll get my honest opinion of it is, I don't have a problem with it at all, and I'll tell you why. If we have a conversation, if this conversation, I use the terminology the N-word because it makes people feel more comfortable. What I personally believe is by not saying the word and saying the N-word, you're giving it more power. That's why I think it's a mistake. Because you see what I'm saying? If everybody has to tiptoe around it, now the people that were going to use that word to demean someone are going to use it anyway.
They have more power.
Yeah, exactly. Look at me. I hate this group so much I'm willing to use that word, and it does give it more power. That's the problem I have with it. So, like, I understand what you're saying within black communities and black or urban music and stuff. It's used all the time. No, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with any word being used. For me, it's all about context. And what disturbs me is the context that these other white folks that just assume I'm one of the boys use that word. That bothers me. You know, if we're having a conversation and somebody says, you know what, I really think that the word nigger is a horrible, horrible demeaning term. I agree with you 100%. But if you're throwing the N-word around to describe people, now we got a problem. What's that?
I really respect you 20 times more for saying that. And I've been with you since TFS days.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But that's what I mean. See, and I understand why people want to avoid it, but I just hate giving it more leverage. And I'm afraid that's what you do, because the people who are going to use that to demean others, they're not going to ever say the N-word. They're going to use that term, and then they're going to feel more empowered for having done it. Because
Exactly.
As far as I'm concerned, if that makes you feel, if you feel like you need to use that word, and you know what its history is, and you know how it makes the people that you're directing it at feel, you are just one really insecure little tiny penis piece of shit as far as I'm concerned. So, and I hate to give it more power. Excuse me, just a second. Let me read this. I got a super chat up here. Everett says, I disagree with the most degraded race being black. I'd have to say it's the natives. Ooh, that's a good point. Because 95% of the Native Americans have been wiped out since the Euros arrived, been enslaved by Euros, and blacks have forced off their lands. Strong.
That give me one last question before you kick me out. Yeah, what were you going to say first?
No. Go ahead. I'll talk about Everett's post afterwards. Go ahead.
Okay, I used to always have this conversation in high school. Which race do you think was hated or attacked more, the Jews or Africans?
Well, I think it would depend. Are we talking worldwide?
Oh, yeah, worldwide. Because Jews, I mean.
Worldwide, I would have to say Jews. Only because I think, and I'll tell you my reasoning for it, there's enough of the world where the Africans have been accepted to where that part of the world where the Jews are universally accepted is tiny. I think the Jews will face hatred,
both sides too. People think they're white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they have to deal with people thinking they're whatever, cocky or overconfident, blah blah blah.
Right. And I'll have to tell you guys. I don't know if I'll have time to stream. I'll tell you guys a great story. I haven't told it yet. Maybe I'll make an individual video about it. Talk about breaking stereotypes about a Hasidic Jewish man who just helped me recently out of a really, really bad situation. It's completely selflessly helped me out. But yes, I think worldwide, I just think there's almost no place for Jewish people to go where they won't face some sort of harsh reality, put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. This was a really good conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll
I'm the
talk
guy
to you
that
again
used to
soon.
always ask when we do political streams and stuff.
What's that?
I was that guy that used to always ask, could you do political streams and stuff?
We'll be doing the Nothing Show regularly now, so I'm having a blast with this. I love hearing what you guys have to say.
Sounds good.
Okay, talk to you soon.
You too.
Bye-bye. Now, I want to get back to what Everett said. Hold on, put this call. Hello, caller. Hold on just a second for me. I just want to discuss what Everett had to say here. That's interesting. To get back to what we were talking about. Whoop, lost him. Hold on just a second, if you would, caller. I want to. We're discussing what Everett had to say here. I have to say it'd be the Native Americans rather than the Africans, because 95% of Native Americans have been whipped out since the Europeans arrived and been enslaved. You know, that's a strong point, Everett, and I think it becomes so easy, just as I just did, to immediately call out the Africans as the most, shall we say, demonized or most, the ones that have been downtrodden by society the most. I think because they are just in pure number a larger part of society, of modern society. And that's wrong. I mean, it's the wrong way to do it. I'm not justifying what I'm saying. And I think that's why that, you know, it seems that we take that perspective that they've had it tougher than anybody else. But the reason that the natives are a smaller part of the society is because of the genocide that was perpetrated upon them by the Europeans. So, yeah, I couldn't really argue against that point with you. You're probably right. I mean, as far as what they faced throughout the history of this land and to a further extent this country, yeah, you might be right. It'd be a close call, but yes, it could very well be. It could very well be the natives, and that's bad on me for not thinking that because of just the reasons I said. There's so fewer of them around. They're not a group that you think of right off the top of your head, and the reason for that is because we got rid of a ton of them. Now hold on, we had another. Let me just catch up here on. Oh, Rockley says I just joined and want to call. I'll try and get as many callers as I can in. As you guys see, I enjoy these conversations, and everybody has been on point with the conversation so far as well. All right, caller, I'm sorry to hold off on you. Who am I talking to?
You are talking to Joshua from Chicago.
Hi, Joshua from Chicago. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
Just noticed the stream, jumped right in, saw a phone number, and called it.
That's what I like. Just dive in. When you see a creepy old bald man and a telephone number, what else are you gonna do?
You call it.
Call it. That's right. So, well, what do you think? Do you have a stance on what we're talking about currently here? The people that need safe spaces and kitties.
Well,
go ahead.
I think that when it comes to that kind of thing, you have to measure, you know, what they're doing now as opposed to what happened before. Because to say that someone's been persecuted in the past does not always mean they're being persecuted right now.
True.
So the same struggles of, say, Native Americans, like right now, they have very similar struggles back then. You know, the pipeline being built,
True.
that's going through. So it's been like consistent problems for them. But other people, like say, you know, the Jewish people or the black people or even women, if you want to go as recent as the early 1900s,
Sure.
Their struggles have changed. They not to diminish what's happened before, but I think that if you're going to look at who needs the safe space at the moment, it has to be who is being dealt the worst hand at the moment, not who has been dealt the worst hand in the past.
And that's a solid point. In the respect that I see what you're saying, all those groups you mentioned, whether it's the blacks, the women, Jewish people, all have substantial lobbying ability and presence in this country. They have groups that are at the top of the food chain, are very vocal and can work on their behalf. The natives do not have that.
Exactly.
No, you're 100% right.
They're so when that's looking at the current state of what they're at, and they've never really been in a very proper state since Christopher Columbus showed up.
That's That's an excellent point. They are still. I don't know of any group within the country that is currently, and that's the point you're making is, where do we stand now, is currently more marginalized than the natives. I agree with that 100%. You're right, and I hadn't thought of it that way.
Because, there are horrible things that happen to many people across all kinds of areas. I mean, even white people, there are stories of, farms in South Africa run by white people being murdered just for being white. It's different wherever you are, and things change based on where you are. And right now, things are different for a lot of people, but the Native Americans have been dealt a sour hand for a very long time, and it doesn't seem to have really gotten any better for them. Land becomes more and more marginalized. Their bison are hunted by other people. It's something that continues going forward that people have kind of left behind in favor of more newsworthy issues.
You know what, and this is something that, and this is one of the reasons I love doing shows like this. Now, I had never even considered that, and it's 100% true when you think about it. They are as marginalized gets, simply because they have no leverage. Like you say, the pipeline is a perfect example. It's a footnote. Let's face it. When the news is covered, any issues with the pipeline, if the government's down there and they crack a couple of Native American heads for protesting that pipeline or something, I'm not saying that happened. I'm saying it does happen. On the same day that Stormy Daniels is ordered to pay restitution to the president for his legal fees, what do you think is going to be the top story that comes out that day on all the news services?
Exactly. It's
pathetic.
People are addicted to drama.
Yes.
And whatever is the biggest thing and the most familiar thing to them is what they want to hear about. And that's why I think it's very valuable to be educated about a lot of things, because when you can care. How many people super young right now have no clue that there's such a thing as an oil pipeline being uprooted in Native American territory right now?
Unfortunately, I would say, it's a vast majority would have no clue. That's unfortunate.
But they see Trump all over the news and porn lawyers and all that stuff, and it's just like, that's what my news talks about. That's what I know. That's what I care about.
And we're going to be having within these. We're going to be having conversations about the current state of journalism in America, because, of course, with Trump calling them the enemy of the people, and however, how much of that do they bring on themselves? And I won't go off into that sidetrack right now, but it's a lot of what you're talking about is exactly why I get frustrated with it, especially with having a background, my education in journalism as it is their triage, their ability to prioritize their stories sucks. And it's just for what you say, it's all a clickbait society. You're gonna get more clicks on your stories if there's a porn actress involved than you're gonna if there are just some poor Native Americans who have oil spewing up through their fields.
And it also is because of how fast the internet moves as well. Even those
True.
sensational stories get moved down the headlines list as the day goes by.
That's very true.
And an issue like what the Native Americans deal with that's been going on for centuries, that doesn't get that even if they do talk about it, even if they do give it the top of the line news, it's going to get moved down by the next story, then moved down to the third slot by the next story, and eventually it's going to be gone within a week.
I agree with you. And I just want to put out there, too, for those who's watching, you'll see me every so often, I got to mention this during the streams, you'll see me like there, I just smile, I let a little laugh. It wasn't what our caller was saying at all. I don't want to seem like I'm demeaning that, because I try and watch the chat and pay attention to what's being said, and cringe here. It's so difficult to keep a straight face because you guys know I laugh easy anyway. And we're having this really informational, fun, and informative conversation. And I look over and I read, "Never thought I would find myself masturbating to an old white man." And it's just like, oh, come on, you guys. This is like when I used to be a wrestler. and you would get in the ring with an opponent that you supposedly hated, and of course you're whispering in each other's ears trying to make each other laugh. So, but I just wanted to put that out there. I don't want any of you to think that I'm laughing at what you're saying or anything. I just happened to see that, and it's like, okay, that punched me in the face.
Well, I'll admit, I was caught a little off guard when I saw your stream, and I called, and you're like, we're talking about marginalization of minorities, and I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this is.
I'm used to you talking about anime titties.
Yes, and to be perfectly fair, I'm hoping for the day where if I could have one area of expertise where I could be the unquestioned leader of the intelligentsia of that issue, it would be anime titties. Yes. Everybody
got a lot of competition.
I know I do, and that's why I'm willing. I am willing to plow my way through every pair of anime titties that are out there to get to the top of the heap.
If there was ever a cause worth fighting for.
Exactly. Well, listen. Thanks for the call. I'm running out of time here. I got to go to a couple more topics, but thank you. That was an excellent call.
No problem.
Talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
You too. Okay, guys, we're going to move along now. I'm going to hold off on the call for just a second because I gotta check my order. Oh, now we'll try and make this one more brief because it won't interest as many people. Let's talk about the college football playoffs. I don't know how many of you will be interested in that, but let's see what everybody thinks. I'm interested in it because you guys know what Notre Dame means to me, and they're involved for once. So I'm going to hold off too. I got zero. Hold on, I'm going to for just a second. Okay. Zero the Black Knight says, okay, Curtis, I want to point out that I live in Minnesota. Okay, hold on, let me. Hi, caller. Hold on for just a second if you would. I'm reading a chat here. Okay, Curtis, I want to point out that I live in Minnesota and been to prison, and Minnesota is a very white man state. But fun fact, the natives run 99.9% of the casinos, so sure they're not political reps, but not suppressed. That's an interesting take, Zero. That's an interesting take. So, right, what you're saying is they're, like you say, they're not represented politically, which is fair and true, but they're not being financially suppressed. That's true. It's an interesting point too, Zero, because it's like, okay, at what point does that scale balance? In other words, they don't have the political representation, certainly that they deserve, and they are definitely a marginalized community. But governments throughout the nation, including here in New York, have said, okay, well, since the casino is on your sovereign land, we're basically allowing you the opportunity to not have to play within the rules that the rest of us do, and you can create this really, truly magnificent form of revenue generation. So, it's not being petty to say, well, you guys can't complain because you're making all this money, and that's not what we're trying to say. It's saying that there is some recognition, at least from a financial standpoint, that we're giving you, allowing. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think it's a good thing that they've been allowed to do this. Now New York went and opened other casinos as well, so it kind of took the edge off for them, but it's been something that at least has been a financial boon to the Native Americans, even if they are still marginalized from a political standpoint. I just want to see, and Rich said I left a link to a funny meme in the chat. Okay, who's on the line with me here? Who do I have?
Just call me Frost.
Frost? Okay, Frost. So what now I know I switched topics right in the middle on you here. So which topic were we talking about that you wanted to comment on?
Well, I'm on a different topic.
Okay, what's
talking about the Russians being in Venezuela.
Okay.
And having those nuclear jets there.
Mm-hmm.
And all the tensions going on with America and Russia, and America and China.
Mm-hmm.
And Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware of all that?
Yes and no. The one thing I'll always promise you guys is I won't try and talk above my head because I think that's the worst thing in the world. Am I well-versed? No. Am I aware of everything you discussed? you brought up, yes. My initial thought on that is, as far as tensions, I think the tensions between America and China are more economic than they are the tensions between the U.S. and Russia and the U.S. and Iran, where I think we're teetering on the brink of potentially something, if not disastrous, at least something notably bad happening. I think with China right now, we're just in a state
Like a
of
war.
I would hate to say that, but if not a full-blown war, a skirmish, a showdown, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying we might fall short of declarations of war, but unfortunately, it seems like we're moving more towards that Cold War mentality anyway. I guess a Cold War more so than a physical war.
Oh, it's not a move in there. It's already happening.
Think so?
Since they pulled out of that nuclear treaty, the INF treaty,
Right.
and Russia is up in their nuclear arsenal.
Mm-hmm. Now, and see that for me too depends on who you believe, because then again, you know, people like us, the regular folks don't have privy to all the details that we desperately need. Do you think Russia, as accused, the excuse for pulling out of the treaty is that Russia wasn't abiding by it anyway? Do you think that's true?
Oh, I believe that's true. I believe that's true. They wasn't abiding by it anyway, so I guess they.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say I don't have.
They just don't. They don't care about hiding it anymore. You know.
Right. Exactly. I agree with you. I think. I mean, and again, it's not because I don't think. You know, I don't have this perspective that all Russians are the big evil Russian bears of years gone by, the Soviet bears. But I've seen enough of what goes on. I've seen enough of how Putin comports himself that I don't doubt that they were developing weapons that were outside of that treaty. Now, is the proper response for us to just rip it up? That's left up to, you know, everybody's individual discretion. But I do know this. I don't think America can afford to let anyone, because of our position in the world right now and what has become militarily, I don't think we can afford to let anybody in the world have a clear-cut advantage over us militarily, because it will change the entire world order if we do.
Well, that's what Russia and China is doing. They're trying to gain military advantage, and
I agree. And that's. Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree with you 100% on that. And I think that's why it's so crazy. I mean, I'm a taxpayer in America, too. I don't like how much it costs to fund the military things that we need. But when you have people talking about slashing military funding to pay for this, to pay for that, I think that is beyond the pale as far as bad moves go, simply because we do have this acceleration from Russia and from China, and we have to stay at least equitable with them, or who knows what will happen if, especially, and that goes well beyond our borders. I mean, we're the main line of security for much of Europe, for the entire Nordic regions. If we find ourselves at a significant military disadvantage to Russia, to China, certainly to Iran, there's going to be a new world order of sorts. I fully believe.
Oh yeah, the new world order. Yeah. Well, as far as the new world order go, and you saying America being the main defense of the Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind that the president of France.
Mm-hmm.
Emmanuel Macron is calling for a one order EU military.
I heard
to defend themselves from Russia and America,
mm-hmm.
which is gonna cause like a whole lot of confusion and hostility.
The only thing I can say there is, and I'm with you, I saw that too. The only thing I can say there is he's got a snowball's chance in hell of that happening, and I'll tell you why. It's purely economic. He's got Paris burning right now because of the cost of living in Paris. And excuse me, guys. Let me just shut that off. He's got part of Paris burning right now because people can't afford to live. Do you know what kind of price tag comes with the type of military that Macron is talking about? Sometimes I had never had any type, for the most part, of issue with Emmanuel Macron until recently, because he says things like that, and it's like, look at how many hundreds of billions of dollars we poured into the military to maintain this level. You want to start from almost square one, because they're compared to America, the military existence over in Europe is minuscule. And you're going to have your people pay for that? It'll never happen.
I know, man. Right now, it feels like everybody is moving against America.
Oh, and again, now you guys know, I keep everything right up front so people know where I stand. I voted for Trump, but I'm one of these people that can see what a buffoon Trump can be as well. I voted for him because I like a lot of his policies. As a person, not so much. Now, all that said, he's a lot of the reason they're moving away, because he has the gentle touch of a hammer to a nail. And the simple fact is, it's entirely possible, feasible, and actually, I think, rather easy to be nationalist in the respect that you put your nation first without alienating the rest of the world the way Trump has. It's not that difficult to say, listen, when it comes to trade, when it comes to day-to-day life of the population, I have to worry about America first. However, that's not to say that we don't have your back, all of Europe, that we aren't with you. We are, but I have to take care of us first. I have to look out for us first. But there's no balance in that. It's like the whole world now is either you're nationalist or you're populist. It's not black and white. You don't have to be nationalist or populist. You can get nice shades of gray that'll work out just fine.
Yeah.
Hi, Nacho. That's my stance anyway. And I think that's why so much of the world is against us, because Trump has gone too far over the edge. And of the two, I would say, again, I like to think I'm a blend of both, but I believe in nation first. And not just for America, for everybody. I think you should put the welfare of your own nation first, and then worry about your standing within the rest of the world and make that a real issue. But that said, Trump takes it to extremes. Everything's to an extreme with him, and that's why I think we're seeing the way we are.
Yeah.
Anthony no, I was just reading what Anthony said. 500 years, the whole world will be strictly full of half Russian and half Chinese people and communism. Let's hope that's not the case, Anthony. I know I won't be around to see it.
Where all the black people at, and the Hispanics.
That's
they gonna be around.
That's true. I didn't even think of that. You're right. With the people of color, yeah. Can you imagine that? Because China's about as homogenous as it gets. Russia's not far behind. Yeah. Wow. I hadn't even thought about that. You think it'd be bad for an old doofy white man like me when they come into power? I can't even imagine what it's gonna be like for people of color. Because I don't think we're dealing with entities that are going to have too much concern. Wow, that's true. All right, well, listen, I gotta let you go. I want to try and get a few more calls, and we got like 20 minutes left. But thank you for the call. It was an excellent conversation.
All right.
Thanks, talk to you again. God damn, you guys bring up a lot of good shit. I mean, seriously, I am having an absolute blast here. Hello. Who am I talking to?
Hello. Ice. Wallow. Come.
Okay.
No,
well,
no homo, though. It's Wolverine.
You what?
Wolverine.
Oh, it's you. Oh, Wolverine. You got back in. You're good on that phone. Okay, wait a second. I got to talk real quick because I want to at least touch on the other topics. And I am watching the chat as I speak as well. College football playoffs. I know to a lot of you this is boring, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. The only reason I bring it up is you guys are aware that I'm a huge Notre Dame fanatic. For the longest time, my number one passion in life has always been my family. The only other passion I had in life prior to this channel was Notre Dame football. Now, obviously, anime, and to the much larger extension, you guys have become a passion. Actually, I moved. You guys should be glad to know I moved you guys up to second. You guys are second, and then Notre Dame football. But however, with Notre Dame football being in the top 3, I've waited 30 years since the last national championship we won, and we are in a 4-team playoff to try and win it again this year. Does anybody here now? Again, I know a lot of you aren't into college football. Notre Dame plays Clemson. Alabama plays Oklahoma. The 2 winners meet to determine a champion. I'll watch the comment section. Who is everybody rooting for? And who does everybody think is going to win? Do you follow it at all, Wolverine?
Not really, no.
No? Oh,
I was just calling because right now I'm currently doing errands for work.
Oh, okay.
So I've been really popping
Steven.
in and out of the stream.
Oh, okay. I get you. Now,
Yeah.
Steven's going with ND. Zero's going Ohio State. Oh, Ohio State's...
honestly, though, I'm really going for the Cincinnati Harambe's, though.
Okay. Well, that's understandable. Hold on, I just got to read some of what we're getting here. We got Ohio State.
Either that or the Compton NWA.
Zero's got Ohio State. Ohio State might be in a little bit of trouble recruiting here. Recruits are starting to drop off because of Urban leaving. Notre Dame for Jacob. Hand egg. George Willis, I don't follow hand egg. I like that. That's good. Shape of the ball and that you can use your hands. I get you. Rockley says Clemson is going to whoop ND. What? I can't block him. What is it called? Oh, I have to hide you. No, I'm only kidding. Nobody gets hidden for that. Because somebody will say, that was wrong. I'm rooting for the good guys. Lex doesn't care. Who's rooting? Big Green is rooting for Goku. Goku always wins. Jake Daniels says he's got Bama and Notre Dame in the finals. I'll tell you, as much as Bama looks overwhelming, and I know the fan base is, the Notre Dame fan base is largely rooting for Oklahoma to pull the upset so they don't have to face Bama. Listen, if you, like Ric Flair always said, if you want to be the man, beat the man. If you want to win the championship, go beat Alabama and take it from them. I'm not saying it'll happen. I'm rooting for your mom, Lick says. Pizza Man's with ND. Let's see. Bama? Yeah, Bama's going to be tough, zombie dude. Alabama's just unbelievable as always. Isn't it? The dog, isn't it? I mean, it's just, and they just keep reloading. Yes.
You know what they say about the South, right? Incest is wincest.
In South is wincest? Well, that's what.
Incest. No. Incest.
It's wincest. Yeah. Well, that's why I've been for the last, what is it now? We're going on 6 years. I've been ripping on Alabama whenever something comes up. You guys have seen at the channel or anything. Whenever I want to make a comment about incest or anything like that, or say something disparaging, I throw in Alabama. It's just because I'm a whiny little bitch. And Alabama in 2012 met Notre Dame in the national championship and just piss-pounded them. And I can't seem to get over it because Cheyenne here is at Georgetown.
Hi, Cheyenne.
Cheyenne says, I'm clearly rooting for Georgetown. We're number one in everything. Football, grades, student health care, tulips, depression. Well done, Cheyenne. Okay, let me catch up here while we're going on some of these. Some of the comments. Shin Mega says, Helsing Ultimate Ridge 9 and 10 have been released. Yes, I'm aware. Got to figure out where. I can't just post them straight up to the YouTube channel. The last 3 strikes we've gotten have been on a bridge series. So the only thing I can think of is when I get time, I'll make it for the Goosh, and then I'll just bring it over to the YouTube channel, same way I do with My Hero Academia, where you guys will just have to click a link. Now I like this. Shadow of Cobra says he don't give a shit who's in the playoff. He just wants to run out onto the field naked. I like that. Curtis approves of that. Yeah, exactly. Now that's what I like. If you got somebody they're just not really into the sporting element of it, just not into college sports, it's like, I'm still going to go have a good time too. I'm going to strip off my clothes and run on the goddamn field. I like that.
Actually, wait, hold on, Curtis.
Yes.
Speaking of streaking, I prefer my women like I like my steaks, rare and ready to go.
Yeah.
Bow chicka bow wow.
Bow chicka wow wow, indeed. Yeah. All right. Well, that I just covered that. I wanted to make sure we covered it. Now we're gonna hold on, Wolverine. We're gonna switch topics as we go too. Now we're gonna
Oh,
go.
actually, yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to you about like the vegan stuff, like PETA. That's why I called.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
hold on. Let me get. What the heck I got going here? Nope, that's the wrong window I took down. And get the college football off there. Okay, this one to read this one out so everybody understands exactly what we're talking about. This is are you a bigger moron for supporting PETA's race? And I'll show you this. PETA's racism and homophobia parallel, or for whining about Rudolph. Now, let me give everybody a little bit of background here. What's happened is, I'm just getting everything called up here properly. People are actually complaining about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because it sends a poor message, at least according to the social justice warriors, because it's all about bullying, and Rudolph is treated poorly by his father. Rudolph's treated poorly by everybody, by his father, by Santa. He's bullied by the others. He's not invited to the reindeer games, blah, 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 blah. All that may be true. All that may be terrible. That's why it's storytelling. There are bad guys, bad girls, good girls in stories. Storytelling is about overcoming things. Things like that take place in life. Yes, there is bullying. No matter how much we don't like it, there is bullying out there. This is a story about overcoming it. Should Rudolph have said, after the way they treated him, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? A lot of people say Rudolph should have said, up yours, Santa. No, you treated me like dog shit. You guys go out in that storm and crash land. I don't care. And if Rudolph wants to say that, that's fine. But to say that this story shouldn't be seen because of the message it sends is absolute bullshit. Everything in there, everything that you're complaining about is a part of life. That's things that people are going to encounter, that children are going to encounter in life. What does insulating them do for you? I mean, you can't insulate. There's going to be bullies. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have bad people in your life. And you're going to have to get through it and get by it. And Rudolph did. How did he do it? By having a special ability that, ended up being valuable. Maybe everybody can't do that specifically, but they can find their own value in life. There's that lesson to be learned. It just drives me crazy. And now here, I'm going to put it up for you. The other thing I'm talking about, PETA actually tweeted this the other day. Here it is. I'm just going to put this, just for a moment, I'm going to put this over the chat. Now let me pull up mine so I can read it to you. PETA wants us to stop using anti-animal language. So instead of kill two birds with one stone, you'll like this, Wolverine. Instead of kill two birds with one stone, feed two birds with one scone. Instead of be the guinea pig, be the test tube. Instead of beat a dead horse, feed a fed horse. Instead of bring home the bacon, bring home the bagels. Instead of take the bull by the horns, take the flower by the thorns. This is what they are, and they're genuine, they're serious about it. This is what they want done. They want animals to stop being demeaned and stop these colloquialisms that minimalize the animal population. But the worst part about it is they drew a direct parallel between those phrases that we just listed and racism and homophobia. So as far as PETA is concerned, if you use any of those phrases, that's the same as explicit racism or homophobia. Sometimes the stupidity in the world leaves you almost speechless. This is one of those times. I think I'm pretty good. I think you guys will agree with me. That's why I enjoy things like having this show. I like hearing other people's opinions. I think you learn a lot from hearing other people's opinions. But there's a difference between an opinion and just absolute random idiocy. That's idiocy. What animal is actually offended? Do any of the animals even understand what's being said? How does it demean them in any way? You're comparing that to racism and homophobia? You're comparing that to black people having to use a separate fountain?
I could find one of these.
It's going to be on the other side of the first
poor Wolverine's at work while we're going. But those are just figures of speech. You don't hurt anyone by using them. Exactly. And I mean, just to try and equate that to racism and homophobia as far as I'm concerned, makes you an idiot. I just listen. For one thing, the entities, PETA, that you're defending, the animals are delicious. I don't know what more I can tell you than that. I'm not gonna go vegan. I'm gonna eat cows. I'm gonna eat chickens. I'm gonna eat pigs, and I'm gonna enjoy it. That's why we climb to the top of the. That's why we climb to the top of the food chain. If these animals don't like it, come up with the technology to stop us. Until then, they're going to be breakfast. You ain't gonna now, as Sun Raikou said, you ain't going to be laughing when the cows are milking your ass. But I'm willing to see. But I'm leaving that option open. If the cows, if any of the animals can climb to the top of that food chain, if they can become the dominant society, I'll accept it. I won't have it. I'll bend over for them. I'll say, all right, moo, give it to me. I'll do what I got to do. But until then, I'm going to keep eating those bastards. And I'll for that matter, well, I don't know. Can I eat the people of PETA? Well, no. I think cannibalism is still against the law. Well, until that point, then we'll just keep eating the animals. Naruto QB. We have there's a PO box. I might be taking it down soon, just because you guys have done so much for us and everything. I almost feel funny having the PO box up there. I know you guys like sending stuff, and I appreciate it. But we do have in the description of any of our videos, description, there's a PO box in there. Myth Forger says PETA should stop killing animals they can't take care of before they start trying to control language. Yeah,
Can I weigh in?
Yes, absolutely. Hit me.
So I actually, so about the whole Rudolph thing.
Yes.
I feel he wouldn't be so bullied if he just stopped doing all that cocaine.
So you're saying that Rudolph brought a lot of it on himself with his bad life decisions.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? We're right at the end of the show here. I'm going to try and keep the times close. Now, wait. What we're going to do? If this goes well with you guys, we'll do this at the end of each show. Now, I know a lot of people have been trying to get in. I'm going to go a little bit over. What I'm going to do from here on out, we missed one topic we didn't get to cover it all. But again, next show will be Saturday at 11:30. Will be climate change, so we'll be covering that. But what we're going to do, I'm going to take not random. I'm going to take calls for the next few minutes, or as long as we keep getting calls. Everybody gets 10 seconds. Say whatever you want to say. It can be related to what we've talked about here. It can be unrelated to what we talked about here. But I'm going to get hold on, I forgot to have I'm going to put my little stopwatch out. I'm just going to click the button. I'm going to say, you're on, go. You got 10 seconds to say whatever you want to say. And let's see how this works. Hold on a second here. Let me get my stopwatch up. All right. And Wolverine, since you're... well, Kirby, I can't read right now. This isn't like a regular stream. This is an actual show. I will read everybody's comments. As a matter of fact, I'm glad Kirby said that. Let me go to my list of super chats. I want to make sure nobody got missed. Kirby, please read my next comment. We're on the field naked. Helsing Ultimate. Okay. But I just don't have time, guys, while we're doing the show to actually watch. Oh, no, wait. Hold on, Kirby. I did see it, though. Cannibalism is not against the law. You're allowed to consume human meat. I didn't know that. You just can't kill or hurt other people for it. So when the PETA people go by natural causes, I can eat them and save some animals. There you go. We solved it for you, PETA. Yeah, these are solutions in my world. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Guys, get ready. Get ready to dial or get on Skype. You can contact me on your phone or through Skype itself with this number. You guys know all the details about that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer the call. I'm going to say ready, go. I'll start your 10 seconds, and then we'll go to the next caller. Wolverine, I'm gonna let you go first. You got 10 seconds, pal. Go.
Fuck PETA, because I love to eat meat. Bye, everyone. See you guys later.
All right, thanks, Wolverine. Okay, next call. Here we go. Hold on. Stop. Reset. All right, you got 10 seconds. Go.
Okay, first of all, I want to say I'm Rock Lee. Why'd you have my comments for, you fool? Secondly, I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm going to say screw everybody else.
All right. Rock Lee got his sports team mentioned. I'm a Cowboys fan too, though. All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Okay, here we go. Oh, shit. And you got 10 seconds. Go.
This is ICE, and you're all getting deported.
I like it. I like it. Well played. Okay, you got 10 seconds. Go.
Every time I see a zigzag, I'm reminded of Stephen Hawking. This is Edgar. This is Edgar V.
It's Edgar V. I should have known as soon as it was a Stephen Hawking rip. For those who don't know, Edgar started an entire 2 months of getting Stephen Hawking ripped on here at the channel. This is fun. All right, you got 10 seconds. Go.
Where are my nudes I bought?
Oh, this is going to be good. 10 seconds. Go.
Hi, Curtis. It's Summer. Sorry I didn't get through on any of the conversations, but I just wanted to say hi, and I've enjoyed the stream.
Thank you, Summer, so much. You're such a sweetheart. Thank you, Summer.
Bye.
Bye. Summer's such a sweetie. All right. Hold on. Let me get the reset here. All right. You got 10 seconds. Go.
Hello.
Hello? Quick.
I'd like to say hello, good evening, I'm Poppy Hollow. Please subscribe to PewDiePie.
Okay, and PewDiePie got a plug in it. We got to keep PewDiePie ahead of what is it, T whatever there. This is good. All right, you got 10 seconds. Go.
Fuck you, Train.
Okay, that's the leading 10-second comment so far. You're in the lead, pal. That was good. Oh, hold on, we get this reset. Fuck you, Train. That's winning. All right, you got 10. Oh no, wait. You got 10 seconds. Go.
Oh, what's up, Curtis? It's Zombie Dude.
Hey,
check
Zombie.
out the game Super Bunny Man. It's it's ridiculous. You should play it with Styles Kid on the channel.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye. See, that's the perfect time. If you got anything in there, anything that you want to recommend or anything like that, that was actually Super Buddy Man. I might have to go listen to that's what he said, right? Buddy Man? All right, you got 10 seconds. Go.
Hi, Curtis. This is Jonathan from Arizona.
Hey, Jonathan.
I want to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Same to you, pal.
And Happy New Year, buddy.
Thanks very much. Same to you and yours, my friend. Thank you.
One question. Did you like the mail that I sent you?
I gotta open it yet. I'm gonna do it on camera, pal. I will do it on camera. Okay?
All right, take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, I got it. Jonathan, I know you're still watching. I've got it right over here. I just gotta get an unboxing going. Okay. Did we cover everybody? Sometimes it takes a second for this to clear before it picks up. I think we did. All right, we can go. I think we did. We covered the 10. We got to. You guys got to remind me because you know how bad my memory is. We got to do that at the end of every nothing show. We got to do the 10-second run. That was a lot of fun. Let me double check. I want to make sure we didn't miss any super chats. We did catch Kirby's, and just I should have been. And Nacho, I just wanted you to know I did. I don't know how many of you guys caught it. Nacho was saying hi on a 15-minute break. I did catch that. Said hi to Nacho. I think we're good there. I like doing this show. Hopefully, you guys, I'm going to let this go live to the channel. Let me know in the comments section by all means, because, you know, this is how I judge what we do here is by what you guys enjoy. Let me know if you guys had fun with this. I had a blast with it. I really enjoy I love having the in-depth conversations, the real-world conversations, and especially combining that with the silliness at the end. I gotta admit, the 10-second comment today might have been one by Fuck You Train. You can't get any more apropos here. Yeah, Fuck You Train would probably even would rank over somebody that just came in and said goosh goosh goosh. So why are you always oppressing my people, you racist? The Train says. That's true. Train, you're in too late. You should have thrown your hat in the ring there. We're talking about who was more, who had been more oppressed throughout American history the Native Americans or black people, the train could have been in there too. But really, where are my nudes? Says, I told you guys, the internet rejected my nudes. I'm the only person in the history of the internet where they just said, no, that's just too fucking gross. And the internet just puked it back up. All right, guys, I got to go. Thank you. This first show has been great. Let me know, seriously, in the comments section if you had a good time with this, because I do. You guys know I read all the comments, and this one will go live to the channel, provided that YouTube doesn't say, oh, some of your viewpoints are not in line with our social justice warriors' sensibilities. You got to go. Outside of that, it will be posted to the channel. Guys, thanks a lot. I will see you all Saturday at 11:30 when we go directly and purposefully position ourselves against Saturday Night Live and to try and get more viewers than they do. I think we got 117 now, probably 3 or 4 more, and we'll have them beat. Thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun. Talk to you soon.